My name is Doug Oncken. I'm a retired fire lieutenant for the Columbia Fire Department. And in my job, I had two people that worked underneath me. I had a firefighter and a fire engineer that worked on my engine company. And my job was to oversee the handling of emergency calls that we had throughout the day, and to take care of the station activities that we had scheduled for that day. They have responsibilities. The engineer had responsibilities for taking care of the truck. They each have their own duties in the truck, but it was my duty to oversee that they got accomplished throughout the day. Well, I was in the construction business before I got hired onto the fire department, and I was looking for something that had job security, number one, that I could depend on, that I was going to have a job. The second thing was I was getting tired in the construction business of the weather dictating whether I worked or not. So I wanted something that the weather didn't determine whether I worked or not. I was also looking for something that had a pension plan that would provide for me in retirement. Well, we really don't have a typical day. We respond to such a broad field of emergencies. It could be anything from a hazardous material incident to a medical emergency to a structure fire, and you have to respond to those calls and handle those calls within your territory. So as far as a typical day goes, it all depends on what type of calls you have in that 24-hour period, and what you need to do to deal with those calls. We train on a regular basis, and usually we'd have at least one training day that we would spend within our 3-day block. Well, there's a lot of different ways that you might approach it. You might want to get a little experience on a volunteer fire department to see if it's really something that you want to do, because it's quite a commitment with your time. The hiring process for the Columbia Fire Department, they put in an application for the city. Then they have to take, once they put that application in and they're getting ready to hire, they'll call them and see if they want to, are still interested in the job. If they're interested in the job, they'll be given a mental aptitude test. Then they take a physical agility test. You have to pass one before you're eligible to take the next. And then you go through an interview process, and then you make a list. That list lasts for 18 months. And then when they're ready to hire, they'll go to that list and they'll select some of the people on that list, and they'll call them in and see if they're still interested in the job. If they're interested in the job, they'll start for the Columbia Fire Department, and they'll go through a 10-week training course before they're put on trucks. Well, some of the advantages are that your shift, you work a 3-day block of 24 hours a day. So you work on average about 10 days a month, 10 to 11 days a month, and that gives you 20 days off. It allows a lot of the firefighters on the fire department to have secondary jobs, to where some of them do mowing and some of them do construction of different types. But it allows you a lot of free time. Your schedule is also a disadvantage to you in the sense that the fire department is open 365 days a year, 24 hours a day. It's imperative that you be there on your duty days. So if it's your daughter's birthday, you don't have an option. You still have to be there. If it's Christmas, sometimes I've worked a lot of Christmas days or Thanksgiving days. So it's not an option whether you can be there or not. You have to be there. Well, they have to be dependable. Like I said, we're open 365 days a year. The public pays us for a service that we provide. You don't have an option whether you provide that service or not. You have to be there. If you're not there, somebody has to be there in your place, and that means they have to call in somebody that would have normally been off that day to work for you in your place. So it's imperative that you be there. They're looking for somebody who has the aptitude to learn. The job continuously changes from year to year with the different construction in automobiles and stuff like that. It makes the way that you get somebody out of that automobile. Building construction changes. You have to stay up on those things. So we're continually training. We deal in such a broad field within the fire service, from everything from medical emergencies to structure fires to chemical spills and stuff like that. And you have to train on how to handle those situations as different things change. You have to be able to learn and change with it. Well, I would say that in the 23 years I was there, it changed tremendously with the invention of the thermal imaging camera and the different ways that we handle situations now than we did. Technology is changing as we go along, and it's going to continue to change, and you have to educate yourself on those changes to best handle the situations that you're encountered. If we're having a busy day, somebody's having a bad day, whether it be losing all their valuables within a structure fire, whether it be the death of a family member, whether it be someone that's sick, you have to be able to talk to them on their level. We deal with so many different people, whether it be someone with a different language than you, whether it be a child. You have to be able to communicate with them on their level in order to find out how best to handle their situation and improve it if you can.